Present.
Commissioner Calucci?
Present.
Commissioner Ellis?
Present.
Commissioner Prudian?
Present.
Commissioner Trahan?
Present. Minutes of previous meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that the minutes of the previous meeting are found correct, that they be accepted.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any questions on the minutes? No questions? Roll call.
Commissioner Capano?
Yes.
Commissioner Calucci?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellis?
Yes.
Commissioner Prudian?
Yes.
And Commissioner Trahan?
Yes. You wanna do this now?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion, we move the agenda to new business. There's a resident here that's having a problem that would like to address the board.
Okay. Do I have a second on the motion?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Motion
Thank you.
carries. Okay, what is it?
Commissioners.
I think we're good.
You wanna
paraphrase it, or?
Sure, or I can.
stand and just give us your name and address?
Sure. My name is Susan Leotta, I live at 28 Garfield Terrace in Lynn. And the issue is with a fire hydrant that's no longer in use at the end of my driveway. And there's another fire hydrant next to it that is in use. So it was a very large safety concern. And Dave had a sign put on it, not in working order or condition. But there are other issues with it. I would like to have it removed, and this has been going on for 2 years between Saugus and Lynn. Muggsy, I've talked to Muggsy a lot about it, and I'm just wondering how we can get this done and have it removed. I was gonna take over that piece of the property, but I can't if that's there.
Okay. Anthony, is this our hydrant?
No, it used to service, it's a Saugus system. It used to service her street. Back in the 90s, with the CSO project, we bought our own separate main down Garfield Terrace with the new services and a new hydrant that's currently ours. But that is on the Saugus system, that hydrant that she's referencing.
So the hydrant is owned by Saugus?
It's owned by Saugus, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right,
Mr. Chairman,
go, Dave.
originally what happened is that neighborhood wasn't serviced. So back in the early 1900s, very early, there's this real ornate cast iron rusty hydrant there. That was put in, the line was put in for the Saugus doing a favor for Lynn residents up in there because they had a line up there, we didn't. They brought in a line to service that area. But now it's outused its life. It's damaged, and if you try to turn the valve, it's broken.
How do you know that?
Because I did the research, I pulled out the drawings, I talked to our staff, so I did my homework and due diligence as usual. And so you have two of these things, and it's kind of an albatross, and there's an old line there. She would like to see if we could get permission to deadhead it. So, and, so that, because as we know, along with utilities, there's an easement too. So Saugus would have an easement there, through there, and they have ownership of it. And so that would renege that, so that she's trying through City Hall, and I think some councilors have been helping her, and some of the officials at City Hall to try and see if she can take over that piece of Saugus land, should pay taxes on it back to the city of Lynn, if she had ownership.
Muggsy, you, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, has anybody contacted Saugus and talked to them at all?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Multiple
Muggsy has
times.
several.
When this first came up, we went up and investigated. We have the new hydrants at Kennedy, came straight in, that's off our system. They used to be fed from Saugus. I spoke to Jim Waugh. We checked the hydrant, it just spins. That doesn't mean it's alive, doesn't mean it's dead, it just means that there's something wrong with the arbor, the operating part of the hydrant. When I talked to Jim, I go, is this a dead line? He goes, probably. Probably to me is not a very convincing argument. Because if something goes wrong, you know, and if they kind of like in the old days when they used to cut things, they would just shut gates. And we can attest, you start playing with gates, you could shut it, it's not fully shut. So if you got water coming by there, you can end up with more of a mess and Anthony and I went up there, 2 weeks ago? A couple weeks ago, or whatever, and we looked for the gates, there's no gate showing up there neither, so now it's a little bit more involved. And I just spoke to a gentleman from Saugus named McLaughlin. Nobody has any records of whether or not that's actually dead-ended.
Mike,
Like
is
like
the
a
hydrant on Saugus land or Lynn land?
It's Lynn land, it's Lynn.
The-
But like us, we have different utilities and different things that go on to other people's, other cities and towns all around. If something goes wrong with it, we're responsible to fix it. We don't call them and say, hey, this is off our system, but, because we bill them different, mostly utilities for the houses.
Now, did you check with them and ask them if you could remove it, or did they say, yeah, you can?
Well,
if you want?
they said they don't care, but they can't give me that it's dead. So there's a possibility that that still could be live, and that could end up being more of a mess than anything else.
One other question, Sam, are we opening, if we touch that and something goes wrong and say the whole neighborhood gets flooded or something because there's no shut off, can we be live? Can we
That's
be
part of
held?
the concern, but George Markopoulos and the city council, I think, my recollection is, and I told the woman here tonight, that I do have a file on this, but I understood from the law department that they had abandoned a portion of Garfield Terrace. And I don't know whether the portion they abandoned
No,
is where her driveway is.
I don't either, I vaguely remember
But
that.
you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
So I'd be glad to look at, but I know the law department was dealing with the town council in Saugus about who has the responsibility and the ownership of that hydrant. But part of what the city tried to do, I think, is by abandoning that portion of the land, then the landowners would become owners of whatever portion got abandoned.
But I was never aware of that when I became a landowner, so if it was abandoned, do you know when? Do you have any idea?
Again,
Can you let me
the
know?
answer would be yes, if I had known you were gonna be here, brought my file, had the city council vote, all
So-
of those things happen.
So
But I
can
just
call
can't tell you
you.
precisely.
All right, so we can have a conversation about it.
Absolutely, I
another
mean,
time.
there's a vote of the Lynn City
Okay.
Council to
Yeah.
abandon
I'd
a
like
portion
to
of
Chair would
straighten it out for
entertain
you.
the chair would entertain a motion to table this till Sam has
Second.
some time to look into this.
Mr. Chairman, before we do that, can I ask one question I think will help?
Go ahead.
Tony, you're our engineer of record. Is there any ways, non-destructive or destructive, that you can use to inspect that pipe to see if it's live or not? Could you research that? Could you research that? I mean, could you do a pilot pinhole and then cover it with one of those clamps?
Well, if it's under pressure, that might be a bit of a concern. I mean, you could listen, but in order to listen, you have to have flowing water, so it's not,
Is there-
to me.
Can you check, is there any ultrasonic, any equipment out there that?
Again, you'd have to have some movement in the line for ultrasonic to be of any value, so.
Can you take a look and see if there is some technology out there? You're a big company.
Sure.
And report back.
Can I ask a
Thanks.
question, please? So if there is no movement in the line, would that mean that it's dead, that there's no water?
Not necessarily.
Okay, all right.
Hey, but we're not hiring an engineer to go out there and do this. We have our own.
I didn't ask for that, I just asked for my information.
Well, I think he was under the impression you wanted him to go out and check the line.
No, I would have said I want you to
Okay.
go out and check the line.
All right. Well, there's a motion on the table. Is
Second.
a motion seconded to table it and let Sam look into this and we can find out what the heck is going on before we open ourselves up to any lawsuits here?
Second.
Do you need an amendment or anything official, or just have them come in with the information?
Okay, whatever. You wanna just not have a vote on it and let Sam, so we're gonna just table it. We have to table it.
As long as we remember to come back and do it, you know, when you table it, it's on the record,
He'll
you
remember.
remember, okay.
When they have the information, it'll be on the next,
When the two
agenda.
of them get the information, I'll come back.
All right. It's
Have
fine
that
with
be
me.
part of the motion on table.
Okay.
And I second that amendment. Okay.
Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Capano?
Yes.
Commissioner Tucci?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellis?
Yes.
Commissioner Prudian?
Yes.
Commissioner Trahan?
Yes. Okay, we're gonna go back to,
Thank you. Thank you.
All the best.
government updates.
Right, like that.
Right.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going back to comments. Is Betty here?
No, she's on vacation, I have them.
Okay, you're taking them?
Sure. All right, I mean, this is Betty. All right, the first procurement is the water treatment plant chemical consortium bid. We are part of the Northeast Merrimack Valley Chemical Consortium for water treatment plant chemicals with 66 other communities. What happens is we all solicit our chemicals and purchase them in a bulk order. The chemicals are on page 2 of your handout. There's 7 chemicals. They range from disinfectant to coagulants to pH to fluoride to corrosion control and so forth. And this is what we use to provide one of the best drinking waters in the state of Massachusetts. So this is something we need to continue, obviously. The prices are based on the prices that the consortium received. The estimated usage is in the column as well for the total estimated cost of $457,000. And the individual vendor for each of the chemicals was awarded through the consortium the bid. So we're just looking for approval to award this bid in conjunction with the 66 other communities in the state of Massachusetts.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we award to the lowest bidder.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion, Dave?
Dan, do you happen to know how the numbers for the last procurement was for those same materials?
Yeah, they're all in line. The aluminum sulfate went from $351 a dry ton to $325. So that went down.
Okay.
The caustic soda went from, this is 6 cents, from .0612 to .0610. So it went down 1/10,000th of a penny. So that's a saving somehow, and so forth and so on. But the number is pretty much, it pretty much comes out to be the same number as last year, based on the estimated quantity.
Is the trend that it went down at all? Or?
Some of them did, some of them didn't,
So it was a wash, it's the same.
more or less.
I just wanted to know what the trend was for materials we need to run that operation. It's good that it's stable. Thank you, and thanks for having the exact numbers. You did do good.
Well, I only had 2 of them, so I just stopped there.
Two's enough.
I didn't have 7 of them, so
Okay,
I...
we have a motion on the table,
while you're ahead.
seconded. Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing no discussion, roll call.
Okay, Commissioner Capano?
Yes.
Commissioner Tucci?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellis?
Yes.
Commissioner Fuji?
Yes.
And Commissioner Trahan?
Yes.
Second item is the brush mowing services on the dams and the dikes. We presented a bid. We got 3 vendors. Ma Tree Services is the lowest responsive bidder for $21,722. We cut the trees and the brush on the various dams as per the Office of Dam Safety with the state to assure that the integrity of the dams is in fine shape. And Mayor Tree has done the work before, and the staff recommends that they continue to do the work.
Mr.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we go along with Mad Tree Services, the low bid.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Any discussion on the motion? Hearing no discussion, roll call.
Okay, Commissioner Capano?
Yes.
Commissioner Tucci?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellis?
Yes.
Commissioner Fuji?
Yes.
And Commissioner Trahan?
Yes.
The last is the janitorial services for the commission's facility and maintenance buildings. Betty went off the multiple Massachusetts certified local contractors list. It's called the FAC 81. The specs were sent to 6 janitorial contractors. We received only 1 bid from Advanced Maintenance Solutions from Beverly, Mass. And their price is $22,237.50 a year. And Betty's recommendation is we award them a contract.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we again go to the low bidder.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Any discussion on the motion? Hearing no discussion, roll call.
Commissioner Capano?
Yes.
Commissioner Tucci?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellis?
Yes.
Commissioner Fuji?
Yes.
And Commissioner Trahan?
Yes. Okay, project updates. Bob, Tina, you're up first.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The wastewater treatment plant met all permit performance in the month of May. Averaged 21.32 MGD. The rainfall was 2.79 inches. BOD TSS removals were good. Relic Farms was okay. Yeah, so everything was fine on that aspect. The second item, chlorine conversion project, going very, very well. We should be finished with that project by the end of this month, the very beginning of next month. So that's going from gas. We have no more chlorine gas in the wastewater treatment plant at all. And we're using liquid chlorine, sodium hypochlorite. So that project's going along well. The return activated sludge piping that needs to be replaced at the plant in 2 locations. Veolier's doing that at their expense. And all the pipe is in except for 2 fittings. And as soon as they get in, then that project will begin. And my last one, the incinerator project, isn't going well. So we had to, by federal law, take mercury out of the airstream of the incinerator. The project got completed on time and under budget, and just about exactly 2 months later, the system failed, and we could not run it. So since then, we've been off-site hauling sludge, very expensive, and we are going to be changing out the carbon this coming week, very expensive too, and that's only going to buy us about 7 to 8 weeks of run time, and we're going to have to change it out again. So in the interim, there's a lot of people working for a solution and to find out what the problem is and to find a solution for it. So with all the contractors, subcontractors, and equipment manufacturers involved, you may want to talk in executive session about this, because I would think that there's a possibility of some type of litigation down the road.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes. Dave?
I'd like to make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss possible litigation regarding contractors with the incinerator project under the exemption for legal issues.
Right.
I'll second it.
Question, are the contractors people here, the contractors people here?
Oh, we're not gonna discuss it with them.
No, I just wanna know if they're here.
I don't know.
They're done the plant.
They're not here, okay.
Okay, we have a motion. Dave made a motion, Peter seconded it. There's no discussion on the motion anyway, really. Roll call.
Commissioner Capano?
Yes.
Commissioner Calucci?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellis?
Yes.
Commissioner Fudian?
Yes,
And Commissioner Trahan?
Yes. Danny, who do we need in at this meeting?
We need Anthony Marino, Tony Albono, Sam Vitale, Dave Travers, Bob Tina, and Tina West. And Bob Vanelli.
Bob, yeah.
Bob Vanelli.
Why don't we just take the few people in the room out? All right,
that too.
okay, we're gonna go to 3, we're out of executive session, we're back into the meeting. No votes were taken in executive session. What's the next item on the agenda? We'll go into the water treatment plant. I don't see, who's taking the water treatment plant?
Anthony.
Anthony Marino. Lynn Sewer Commission water treatment plant supply is in compliance with all federal and state drinking water regulations. The water supply capacity was at 76% as of June 12th. We are normally at an average of 84% this time of year, so we're a little bit behind, but that's due to our rainfall. 9 of the 10 positions at the water treatment plant are currently filled. They had a gentleman retire on June 3rd. Veolia is currently working to fill that position. They're currently doing interviews. And that's the report.
All right, any questions for Anthony?
What was that water percentage that we had?
We're usually an average of 84%, we're at 76, so
Wow.
about 8% below average.
Thank you.
Okay, CSO update.
I don't think there's much additional information. Tony's here. We responded to any questions, and I think we're waiting for the response. But Tony, you have anything to add?
The only thing that I have to add is that questions were raised to the commission back on, I believe it was April 28th. They asked for a response by the 18th of May, which was met. A letter was drafted to the regulators with responses to their questions, and we've heard nothing since.
Can we go into executive session and get updated?
There's nothing really updated, is
Oh,
there?
I got stuff I'd like to know. There's 2 meetings we have. I don't know what's going on. I haven't talked to the guy. He ain't here.
Dave wants to go into executive session to get updated on
The
some of
legal, some of the legal matters that are going on and the consent decree, et cetera. We've missed 2 meetings, a lot of time's gone by, we're coming close, and I'd like to, as a commissioner, actually get some input. Sam's been at all the meetings, he could update us. I have questions I'd ask, I can't ask.
Sam, have you got have you got questions, or do you need answers from?
Barry Fogel's not here for the reasons that Tony Omagono listed, which is we met our deadline, we provided the information they sought. Essentially, there were 2 or 3 issues. One is the schedule we presented back in February. The other was modifications to the language in the consent decree, which we sent them, our proposed language. And the third item was the potential for a fine. We've indicated our position on all of that. It goes around to 13 different people. It sort of gets homogenized. It goes to the DEP, the EPA, the AG, the Department of Justice, the U.S. Attorney, and so we met all our deadlines. The last communication I had with Barry Fogel was May 24th, and I shared that with Tino, which is essentially that the pace of negotiations, the regulators seem to be satisfied. That was a direct quote from Barry. So I used the analogy before with Commissioner Ellis, which is this is like a tennis match. We hit the ball over the net, we're waiting for them to hit it back. I mean, we had a good session. The most important thing, I think, was indicated to you that the day after we had this live meeting at the U.S. Attorney's office, the Assistant U.S. Attorney sent us an email saying he thought it was very productive, and that now what would proceed would be on the engineering level. And that's why Tony's involved. So the DEP and the EPA, their engineers are dealing with Tony, and it's at that level. It's not really at the lawyer level, because Bunker Henderson and Andy Goldberg from the AG's office, they're all awaiting how the engineers come to some conclusion as to, is this a good deadline? Is that a reasonable schedule? But as far as the modified consent decree goes, we had very few changes in language. We submitted those. They have not responded.
Mr. Chairman?
Peter's got the chair.
Did we submit a proposed schedule too?
We did that back in
Yeah,
February.
I thought so.
Yeah.
So
We did that in a meeting in February.
the only reason why I'm asking is I just want to be reminded. And then also, is it a possibility that, you know, if we have further delays, that would impede our proposed schedule? I mean, the longer we wait, the closer we get to whatever schedule we
Well,
propose.
one of the points I thought that Tony made at the meeting in the U.S. Attorney's office was that some of the things that had come down, which they took the template from our prior submission, didn't match up with reality. He has said that to you.
I understand, but now we have a proposed schedule. Now, if this is delayed by them for too long, that we could come up, you know, close to our new proposed schedule, right? Is that a possibility? Does that make sense?
Everything slides relative to the date they say go.
Oh, okay, so when they get a decision, there would be so much time after that. I get it. Okay.
Tony,
Mr. Chairman.
can you bring, have you got anything that you can report back to us in an executive session, or is it kind of a waste of time, or not?
Well,
Dave, wait a minute.
essentially what I said was what I would report to you, whether it be here or in executive session.
Mr. Chairman, I've been following this issue for about 20 years. The consent decree for Westland and for this community is one of the biggest things that we've ever had at the water and sewer since the water and sewer was made. It affects a lot of people's lives daily. that is impacted by the performance of what happens in this consent decree and when. I have questions that, of a nature that we should go into executive session. I don't think it'll take a long time, but with something as important as this, it sets up for the next decade and a half commitment. And even longer than that for some things. And so I have some questions I'd like to ask, and so I'll make a motion.
I'll second the motion.
To go into executive
Let me
session.
make it first.
And it's been seconded by Councilor.
Okay, what's the motion you're making?
To go into executive session to discuss litigation with the EPA and DEP regarding the third modified consent decree. We'll come back, there'll be no votes taken. We'll come back out of executive session into the full session for anybody that wants to wait here.
There was a motion on the chair and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing no discussion, roll call.
Okay, Commissioner Capano?
Yes.
Commissioner Calucci?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellis?
Yes.
Commissioner Prudian?
No.
And Commissioner Trahan?
Yes. There'll be no votes taken in executive session. We're going in executive session at 7:30. Back in session, it is 7:42. No votes were taken in executive session. And where are we on the agenda? Under business.
Business.
Business, we need 3 separate votes, one for the operating budget, one for rates and fees, and one for capital improvements. All good news, as you know, no, 0 rate increase. Dave's here to outline the 3 items, and we need 3 separate votes approving them.
Okay, on the operating budget, will be the first one. I need a motion to accept the budget and.
Motion to accept.
Yeah, Dave will give a quick
Yeah, you want
overview
it?
on each one,
Okay, go ahead.
but then a nice quick motion.
So on May 6th, we sent to the city council, the mayor, as well as the commissioners, our budget, which is a requirement of our enabling legislation. On June 8th, which was last Wednesday, we held a public hearing here at the commission. There were no comments from the public. Commissioner Prudian was here, Mr. O'Neill, myself, Attorney Vitale, Brian Boisel. And then this evening, we're here for 3 items. As Deanie had mentioned, in the rate and fee structure, we're not looking for a rate increase this particular year, so we're going to maintain the level of our water and sewer rates. Our operating budget this year, we're looking for approval of $29,095,295, which is about a 0.5% increase on operating costs. So we've been able to maintain the line on all our expenses for this upcoming fiscal year. The third item in front of you this evening is our capital improvement plan, and we're looking for an approval of $15,775,000 for the next 3 years, fiscal 2017, 18, and 19. Staff is here if you had any questions along the process. Commissioner Prudian had a few questions. I think Commissioner Calucci might have talked about Fennell along the line about a few budget items. So we're here tonight if anybody has any additional questions.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we accept the, all the,
We'll do them one at a time.
One at a time.
You gotta have the operating budget first.
okay, go ahead. I'm in favor of all.
We're gonna make a motion for the operating budget.
Yes, I find it to be perfect.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second to accept the operating budget. Discussion on the motion, Dave?
Yes. When I reviewed the operating budget, and I reviewed all of these proposals that are coming up, I was concerned with some areas of performance that are going to change partially due to consent decree stuff that we're heading into, and then some just regular day-to-day stuff that I don't see met in the operating budget. So because of that, and I thought we were going to have a couple other meetings that we didn't have, I would have been able to go into it in length, and one of them would have been before the rate hearing. So I won't be supporting the operating budget as proposed.
Okay, we have a motion on the table and a motion seconded. Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing no discussion, roll call.
Okay, Commissioner Capano?
Yes.
Commissioner Calucci?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellis?
No,
Commissioner Prudian?
Definitely yes.
Okay, and Commissioner Trahan?
Yes. Okay, the next one's rates and fees. You wanna talk on it first, Dave, or you want just, we were all set, right?
Mr.
There's no-
Chairman,
keeping
I think
everything
we've
the
already
same,
spoken
there's no
of it, right?
changes.
Right.
Okay, so I need a motion on rates and fees.
I make a motion, Mr. Chairman, that it was excellent.
Okay, you're making a motion to
Second.
accept it. A motion made and seconded. Discussion on the motion. Dave?
yes. I like the idea that we're able to have a stable rate once again, but I would have liked to have seen that rate that supports the operating budget and been stable, and that would have supported the capital budget. And if we had some of the other activities built in that bring revenues in, when you commit to do those types of activities, sometimes we get state and federal money or revolving funds. I think you could have come to that stable rate. But that's all I want to say.
Any other discussion on that?
I don't wanna vote for this, but go ahead. I'm only kidding with the joke.
Okay, we don't joke at this table.
I'm sorry.
Nothing's a joke,
I'm
especially
sorry.
when it comes to rates
I hear you.
and the operating budget. Okay, rates and fees. Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Capano?
Yes.
Commissioner Calucci?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellis?
Yes,
Commissioner Prudian?
Yes,
And Commissioner Trahan?
Yes. Okay, capital improvement plan.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that that, again, is an excellent, excellent job. I agree.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Dave?
yes. I saw, when I reviewed the capital improvement plan, areas that I thought that we could have entered into projects that we're gonna be having to do, and that would have possibly supported the no rate increase if we had structured those capital improvements that are needed. And whereas that isn't the case, I won't be supporting that budget.
Any other discussion on the motion?
And I just want to say, I hope that once this is passed and some of the realities that we have to do, we take another look at those, as we're going to be required to.
Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing no discussion, roll call.
Okay, Commissioner Capano?
Yes.
Commissioner Calucci?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellis?
No,
Commissioner Prudian?
Yes,
And Commissioner Trahan?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to say that Mr. Travis did an excellent, excellent job on his part here. And as always, he's very, very efficient, and a credit to the Lynn Water and Sewer Commission. That's all I have to say, and we're lucky to have him.
I'm gonna second that with a little more. I got a phone call today from Mr. Losey, and he said he's negotiated with you and held the rates every year and done a good job, but he said it took 2 guys to hold the rates this year. They sent up 2 guys to replace them, to hold the rate, and they succeeded.
Who are those people?
You were gonna be one of them,
Peter Capano.
before you missed
They
the
worked
joke.
with Dave Ellis to hold the rate, so, but it took 2 of them, he said.
That's okay.
I thought we all voted for that.
We did, we did.
Okay, it was unanimous.
A little late.
I hear you.
Okay, new hiree
We care
update.
about those
Mr.
rate
Chairman, I make a motion that we hire the 5 people in question here under one ballot. The commission I make a motion that we just go ahead and hire all 5 of them.
Okay, we have 5 people on the list for hirees. They've been screened by our people, and they have recommended these 5 people. Now, do you want to take them as a vote, one on
No.
at each, or all 5 at
All
once?
5 at once.
Go, Dave.
Okay. We only had one applicant for each of these jobs?
No, we had plenty of applicants, and I screened all the, and interviewed many. These are the ones that I feel are qualified to be our employees.
Okay, because in the past, we've gotten the information of who the applicants were.
Right, but I figured that you
And
hired
we
me
were-
to be the HR person, that was my job, to be able to screen all these applicants,
Yeah.
be able to do their background checks,
We-
Cory checks,
Yeah.
and present you with someone who's
Yeah.
qualified
We-
candidates
we had-
to work for us.
In the past, we got a recommendation, but we still saw who had put in.
Now, you
And we
want,
got that
next
before.
time around, you want a list of who's,
That's how it's always been, so I'd
Excuse
like to, if I could.
All right.
In the past, commissioners, as you know, we got the information in our package that, number one, we decided whether to put the jobs out. And then we got the, once we did that, then we got in a package the applicant's information. And then we got a recommendation of the review committee to review. And so, in the future, I'd like to actually know who the applicants were.
okay, so next time out, we're gonna have a list
Mr.
and
Chairman, I think this is a better idea.
we'll settle
And
it
it's
next
less
time.
time
Next
consuming.
time around, we'll settle it. We'll discuss it
In
before
the
we put
past,
people on fire.
in the past, the meetings stayed until 9, 10 o'clock and midnight.
Okay, we have a motion on the
Sooner.
table,
Second.
and the motion's been seconded. Any other discussion on the
Can we
motion?
make a friendly amendment to that, that in the future we'll get the information we're used to?
I'll second.
Are you,
Okay, we have amendment to the motion, but the maker of the motion has to accept the amendment. Yes, right. Okay, so then we go from there. There's an amendment to the motion saying the next time, the commission will have a little bit more input into what the people that are hired,
like
okay?
we had in the past?
Any other discussion on the motion? Okay, so we're voting for all 5 hirees. One vote. Yes or no?
Yes.
Roll call.
Okay. Commissioner O'Connell?
Yes.
Commissioner Calucci?
Yes.
Commissioner Ellis?
Yes.
Commissioner Prudien?
Yes.
And Commissioner Trahan?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to adjourn.
Motion made and to adjourn. Motion made second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.